You want some good news, Eagle fans? My source in the Eagle locker room, coaching staff, we'll just say TR. My secret spy, TR. No names. TR just told me something that you're going to love it. You don't know who I'm talking about. TR. Are you ready? Jalen Carter will be ready to rock and roll for the Cowboy game on Sunday. How you doing? Yeah. Carter season, baby. Man, I love that guy. I told you since day one. I said it and everything. Get this. He's actually exceeded expectations. Yes, indeed. What's this? Damn, Sills. I was thinking Howie got another corner. Nah, I don't know that yet. That's tomorrow. By the way, somebody was in here. The trading deadline is tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, not Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Okay? Get your rest, Dak. You're going to have a long day. Man, Mozzie Smith. Don't worry. He won't see the field unless he's bringing water out. That guy couldn't make my daughter's rugby team. My daughter's rugby team is the 6th-ranked team in the country. And the only thing he would be doing is running water bottles out to the people who actually play. Tom, Mozzie Smith carries a water bottle. Okay? Hey, you want any ice? That's all he's good for. Mozzie Smith runs out with like the canisters of water for the guys who are actually out there doing all the meat work and doing all like the good stuff out there, right? Mozzie's like, and you guys need water? Uniform's all clean and shit. He's got a Sunday's best on. You guys need water? Here, I got a cup too if you want. I drink out of a sippy cup, but here's a water thing if you want. Mozzie Smith sips out of a sippy cup. That's how bad he is. Quality H2O. Shit, man, I'd take the water boy over Mozzie Smith. At least that guy hit someone. I like hitting people. Mozzie Smith is the greatest example of what the Cowboys aren't. Good. Hey, Jordan Davis. Do you remember Jerry Jones compared Mozzie Smith to Reggie White? He compared him to Reggie White. I'm like, more. No, you mean Betty White from the Golden Girls or the Golden Chicks, whatever they were. Right? Mozzie Smith stinks. Stinks. Hey, real quick. I'm going to reset the game here in a minute, and I'm going to get into week 8 of the NFL, okay? So Jim Harbaugh now is under scrutiny for this whole thing with taping and shit, whatever. And man, I think it's freaking great. Michigan pretends that they're a good football program. They're not. Michigan in the Tone, get this. Michigan in the last 85 years has won a half of a national title. And they talk and walk like they are a national power. You see a lot of people, politicians and people in television executives, they like Michigan, and Michigan's a good sell. You know, it's a product. People like Jim. Michigan doesn't bring any viewers. Jim Harbaugh does. So if you run Jim Harbaugh out of college football, that's the best thing on the planet for Deion. Because you have no more characters as head coaches. Jim Harbaugh's going to go to the Chargers and turn that thing around. Well, that's if the Spanoses are smart, and most of the time they're not. I mean, when have the Spanoses had a good coach with the Chargers? Can you tell me? Think about an organization. You know, Howie and the Eagles may not hire big-name assistant coaches because they really don't, except for Chip. Chip was a big-name hire. But can you tell me the last coach that the Chargers hired that was good? Let me think. Bobby Ross? That was in the 90s. Let's see. Marty Schottenheimer? Fired him after 14-2. Yeah, Steve. He went 14-2. They fired him. They brought Norvell Turner in. Talk about a stupid organization. Totally the dumbest. And now you got, dude, no head coach should be named Brandon. Okay, Brandon Staley. Brandon. Okay, Brandon. Brandon. We will reset top of the hour here. Why do the Commanders, you think, have your number? What do they do? Dallas has your number too. Dallas has your number too. Neil says unsure. You know why? They know what the kryptonite is in the Eagle defense. It's plain and simple to see. When you play a team like Miami, who you don't see at all, but every couple of years, they have no idea what your tendencies are. Even if you watch it on film, they don't know where your personnel weakness is. See, divisional opponents know where your personnel weaknesses are. Remember what I told you? When did I say this, Tone? About 6 months ago? The reason why all these division games, especially in the NFC East, are always close is because you draft and roster build not to beat the 49ers, but to beat the Cowboys, the Giants, and Washington. You got to beat them guys first before you can beat anybody else. Beating San Francisco, you're looking over the point. How can you be good outside of your division if you can't beat anybody in it? That's why the Eagles hey, by the way, you ever notice what's that statistic? Why is it that nobody has had back-to-back NFC East crowns? What is it, since 2004? When's the last? Okay, Matt, I'll help you out. When's the last time there's been back-to-back NFC East champions? What was the year? What was the year the first time there were, or the last time I should say, was back-to-back NFC East champions? 2004? 2002? 2004. 2004. So we're talking 20 years, just about. 20 years that we haven't had back-to-back titles in the NFC East. Well, don't you think that plays out exactly why every game is close and usually everyone splits is because everyone does do a great job at. See, the Cowboys are built to beat Philly, but the Cowboys aren't built to beat anybody else. They do a good job. And over the last 11 games, they've owned you. Circumstances in there, resting guys, injuries, surely play a factor. But still, you can't get away from the record that they're 8-3 against you. Okay? So LJ wants to go back 25 years. Okay? 25 years. Yeah, I'm talking about kind of like right now also. Every one of those teams tries to do the best job they possibly can at drafting guys and roster building against the opponents that are in the division. That's why all these games are close. This Cowboy game, I don't know what really to think. Just an early look at it. Let's do this. How many people think the Eagles blow them out? And by the way, we'll talk more about it as the week goes on, obviously. Jimmy Johnson tomorrow will be with us at 5:30. How many people think this is a blowout versus Dallas? Just some off the top numbers. 27-20, 24-21, 34-30, 27-24, 35-28. That'd be a blowout in my book. 34-27, that would be kind of a blowout. 30-20, that's a blowout. I think anything 10 or more is significant. If you're going into the last drive and you're down 2 possessions, you're getting handled. LJ's got 24-17. I like that number. 28-20, that's right there. Yeah, Dallas building skills are shit as of late. My tentative score prediction, 31-23. I say that's kind of a blowout. So does your defense – you think your defense holds back that Cowboy offense? Do you think the Cowboy offense is better than the Commander offense? I can't wait to hear this one. So, Steve, you don't think the Cowboy offense is better than the Commander offense? Really? I would disagree with that. How about the toilet bowl? That thing was, we're going to talk about it. That thing was they have a better quarterback, O-line. I think the wide receivers are comparable. Boys' offense better. And I would say that the Cowboys' defense is not as stout, but has more pass defensive skilled people. Does it make sense? I think what is the one thing, again, you know the one thing that the Commanders have, and I told you the one thing they have that is very difficult for the matchup for Philly. If you're going to beat or you're going to have a shot to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, you have to have a defensive line. And if you don't have a defensive line, they're going to run you out of the building. That's what they did with Miami. They ran them out of the building because they didn't have a D-line. If you have a D-line, you're going to be in a game with them. The Patriots, beginning of the year, had a D-line. You have a D-line and you're pretty good across and you're stout across the front. You're going to hang in there with them for a while. And you're going to give them some issues because of the shit that's going on in the passing game, because they're not as balanced as a year ago. Personally, there's no reason that game was, what was it, 38-31? There's no reason that score should have been there. And I'll say this to you. That game was, in my book, a 38-18 game, something like that. It should have been in that conversation, not what they're doing with the one-dimensional offense. They're a one-dimensional offense. They beat the Commanders with a one-dimensional offense. It's almost like they've completely reversed themselves from being the balanced offensive running attack team to going to the passing team, but they're accepting the turnovers more. So for them to get this is everything Doug fought. Doug liked the balance. For some reason, I think the injury also has played into the conversation here. Okay, before I take the time out here, I want to expand this a little more here. Okay, so for them to get their value of their $50 million with their quarterback, what they're thinking, they want to see what they see around the league right now. And I don't blame them in a way, because you know why? If you're not passing the ball in today's NFL, would you not agree, everyone? If you're not passing the ball in today's NFL, you're behind the sticks. You just can't be a one-dimensional running football team. Tennessee tried that, and they're not going to go anywhere. That kid, Will Levis, the kid from Connecticut, I think he's from Shelton, Connecticut. He went to Penn State first, then he transferred to Kentucky. He looks like he could be something. Okay? So the Eagles are accepting these turnovers now, because you know why they're accepting them? You're accepting them because you're 7-1. Okay, if that record was a little bit off, 5-3 or some shit like that, they probably wouldn't be accepting them as much. You see, they don't have to revert back to just being a one dominant running the football team anymore. Because you know why? They're winning. So they're living with the bad red zone, and they're learning to live with the turnovers that Hurts has. Styles make fights. Dolphins got a better offense than Washington, but Washington had better success. You know this. Yeah, they had better success because they have, in my opinion, their skill set guys are more physical than Miami Dolphins skill set guys. You think Waddle and Tyreek Hill are as physical as Dotson and McLaurin? I do not. That's why I don't really like the Dolphin wideouts. Hey, I'll get to that in a second. Hey, Sills, I was aware of this, but Mahomes and Allen also have 8 INTs. What's going on this year with the quarterbacks? It's a good year for defenses. It's a good year. It's a good year for defenses. You see, it's a good point, Lucius. Mahomes and Allen have 8 picks. Hurts has high turnovers. Those organizations learn to live with it as long as they're winning. And I think that's where they're going. If Jalen Hurts has 15 interceptions this year and he throws for 500 or he throws for 4,500 yards, maybe they were afraid of it a year ago, of the turnovers. But you do become one-dimensional. And you know what else you do? You change your identity. No one would ever confuse Kansas City at being a physical football team. That's not a physical team. A finesse team beat a physical team in the Super Bowl. But they're going to learn to live with the turnovers. Okay? Buffalo learns to live with the turnovers. Maybe, hey, Tone, think about this. Maybe this is what this coaching staff has had to come to grips with. Hey, if we throw the ball, what was the stat you threw out there, Tone, about Jalen Hurts? Here, get this, guys. So Jalen Hurts is on pace to throw for 600 attempts. Last year, do you know he threw for 435? You're talking like 150 more passing attempts. And here's the thing that they probably look at that gives them a lot of hope that they're turning this into a passing offense. He's still hanging around 68-4. Like I said, you have a guy throwing the ball 600 times, and he's completing 7 out of 10 of those balls. you're going to learn to live with the turnovers. You're going to learn to live with them. I think that was probably a tougher transition. That was probably, don't you think, everyone? That was probably a tougher transition for the coaches to have to come to grips with. We're going to have more turnovers. If we throw the ball more, the law of averages tell you that. And get this. What's crazy about this, do you guys, I don't remember the year, but do you guys remember that when Nick Saban got the job in Alabama, remember what they did right out of the gate? They ran the shit out of the ball, Najee Harris and Derrick Henry and all them guys. Remember they ran the hell. Dude, they had so many great running backs. Alvin Kamara had to transfer to Tennessee. Remember that? Well, Nick Saban came to the understanding, if I'm going to get top flight recruits like wide receivers and quarterbacks and O-linemen in here, and I'm going to be able to get the recruiting of coaches like Lane Kiffin and Sarkisian and Bill O'Brien and guys like that, I have to have offensive people who throw the ball around. Well, then there was a process that Saban transformed his entire offense from a run team to a spread team right in front of your eyes. It's kind of what the Eagles are doing now. If I throw 6 INTs and only throw the ball 450 times and add 200 more attempts on that, it's only natural for my INTs to potentially double. Maybe more. Comes with the game. Seeing Hurts throw these picks is just something, that's right, that we're not used to seeing. That's correct. And I think, Tone, that's been the tough look. Man, look at all these turnovers from a year. But you're throwing the ball 600 times now. Like you said, when you throw more, you got to live with it. See, I think this is an us thing. You throw the ball 200 times more than what you did a year ago. You got to learn to live with 12 picks. Hey, Jeffrey, Hurts going for 4K? Hurts going for 45K, 4,500. See, you guys didn't Tone, you know when I used to tell you guys he'll never throw for 4,000 yards? Well, that was because he was throwing the ball 435 times. You're never going to throw for 4,000 yards, throwing the ball 430 times. Shit, man, there's quarterbacks in the NFL that have 450 completions versus 435 attempts. Can't be Aaron Rodgers. Not many guys. That's what made the freaking Aaron Rodgers statistic so insane, is why he was such a weapon. Aaron Rodgers, not many guys can average 650 attempts and only throw 3 picks. It's insane. I mean, his touchdown to interception rate, I think he played 15 years and didn't have 100 picks. Am I right, Tone? It's some crazy number like that. He played like 15 years and he didn't have 100 picks. I mean, I've never seen any. It's like 4-1. Nathan Go spent 12 years building a line to run the ball. They want to get away from that, though. Hence, the attempts are more. Dude, this is not something I'm making up. Nathan, this is something they're doing. You see this, right? Guys, you see this. This is not an opinion. They're doing this. Rashid goes, I wish they would go back to it. Wide receiver talent is too good not to be a passing team. Fans want Hurts to throw more yards, but don't expect interceptions to come with it. I do. You want more throws, expect more picks. Right. And expect closer games. Can I make a comparison to you? He's playing like Josh Allen. People consider Josh Allen the best arm in the game. Do they not? And he has high turnovers. I mean, if you look down the line of stats, Allen and him are almost on the same pace. Hurts has to pass more to become an elite passer. I would say this to you, Latin Inferno. I would say this. Hurts has got to be perceived to be more of an elite quarterback, passing more. Perceived. Because 70% completion percentage in my book is elite. You're completing 7 out of every 10. I mean, I don't know what more people want. I mean, we're not talking about 61%. This is a Philly problem. We love to run the game. We love to run the ball because it's a heart and soul and it's blue collar. Yeah, well, what's happened here is they're changing that because, again, and you know what? I'll take this statement back. How about this, Tone? If they continue on this process, Jalen Hurts will play 15 years. If they run, boy, I'm almost contradicting myself now, so you guys can call me up on this one. If they go back to 2022, he'll play 10. Okay. Ray, yet to be determined. I think they want defenses to fear Jalen's arm. Get this, Brian, have you guys ever seen a quarterback that has to change and has changed his entire game? This will be the second time he's changed his game inside of 5 years. I've never seen a quarterback go through so many facelifts in my life like Jalen Hurts. Okay, facelift number 1, had to leave Alabama. Facelift number 2, had to go to Oklahoma. Showed that he could pass the ball. Cue ball. Eagles just traded Street and 2025 7th round pick for conditional 2024. To who? Think about it. Hurts only ran the ball like 4 times and 6 yards versus the Commanders and still was able to dominate the game in the air and was accurate. Hurts is trying to break the glass ceiling. Yeah, well, look what he's doing now. What he was told he wasn't accurate. He's proven that to be different now. He's more accurate than Lamar. Falcons, okay. He's proven that to be more not true. He's a dual threat guy. Well, he's not playing dual threat ball right now. As a matter of fact, Jalen Hurts is over the last month has not played dual threat football. He's playing more like Russell Wilson, Seattle Russell Wilson. He's playing more like that. Just a comparison. He's more like when Russell Wilson was in Seattle. Falcons are trading for some defensive help, bringing in Eagles DT, Contavious Street, and a late round pick swap. It's conditional 2024 6th rounder if he plays at least 6 games in exchange for a 2025 7th rounder. Okay. So what is Howie doing? Why are those late round picks to him significant? Must be doing something tomorrow because you put a lot of those late round picks into deals. And you know what they help you with? Salary cap stuff. Like, you know what? It's an add-on. I'll give you a 4 and a 6 for this guy. I'll give you a multiple package deal. You understand what I'm saying? So it could be a significant name tomorrow. You make a trade for someone, 2, 3, 5, and 6. Sounds better on a trade. Who would that be? Would it be the kid Moss in Indy? That last update was very wordy. Here is a clear picture. Eagles traded Street and a 2025 seventh-round pick to Atlanta Falcons for a 2024 sixth-round pick. Okay. Yeah, he's setting something up. Surtain, way down the draft list for that. Way down the draft list. Let's see here. See, Patrick Surtain is going to be a 1, a 3, 5, and 6. Okay? And I believe he's in the last year of his rookie deal. So then, get this. I'll tell you what, though. This makes more sense now after that Commanders game for Patrick Surtain. Your corners are terrible, and you need replacements immediately. So, am I right, Tone? Say the Eagles end up winning the Super Bowl. It would be the 32nd pick. You can have that pick all day long for Patrick Surtain. You can have that pick all day long. Reminder, ATL, DT, Grady, Jarrett tore his ACL, so they needed some help. Howie saw their need. It's setting something up. It's got to be a corner. Ray goes too expensive. Ray says it's too expensive, a 32nd pick for Patrick Surtain. Why? Because Howie's a really great talent evaluator at corner? For a 24-year-old all-pro? You can't – I can't believe that Eagle fans value a first-round pick over a bona fide all-pro. Dude, it's like the stock – the draft is a stock market, whether the stock is good or not. Surtain is a bona fide, surefire superstar. His stock is value. All you got at 30, you don't know if Nolan Smith's good. Does anybody think Nolan Smith's good? Yeah, I do. Well, you have no proof of that yet. Shit, you don't have any proof that Dean's good. And he's a third-round pick. But you want to save these draft choices like your guy's exceptional at linebacker and corner. And he's not. You haven't drafted a decent corner in 20 years. Cam Jurgens is eligible to return from IR this week. Be determined on what kind of shape he's in, too. Okay? I'll take the player over the pick. Look how the AJ deal worked out. Really, think about that for a second here. That guy just said this. I'll take AJ over the pick. Do you think that the Titans are happy with that kid from Arkansas? What's that kid from Arkansas they drafted? That's supposed to be the replacement for AJ Brown. Who was that kid they drafted? Who was that kid they drafted? The Titans. Treylon Burks. Guy can't stay healthy. And he was the replacement for A.J. Brown. Do you think the Titans want that back? We're donating your kidney, Sil, for Surtain. And hey, Pro, you didn't know. Hey, look at Pro. His name is not A.J. Yeah, well, get this. They traded A.J. away because they saw 68 catches and 1,100 yards. They didn't see him as the player he is right now. They not only misevaluated the player, but they didn't look at his value. Two things that got that GM fired. Eagles essentially get back a sixth-rounder. They gave up Byard's deal for a lineman that was hardly playing. Howie reloading on assets. Think about what they did and how that whole thing worked out. Howie traded a one away, got A.J. Brown off a team that didn't want to pay him an additional $6 million. You look at his stats, they were pedestrian in Tennessee. 63 catches, 66 catches. They didn't know what they were doing with him. They valued Henry more. Shit, they valued Tannehill more. Shit, Tannehill got more money than Henry and A.J. Brown. That's why that GM got fired. That's why they got fired. We just overplayed Bunbury and no play and overpaying Surtain isn't going to work with the cap. Ray, the cap is made up. You can make any deal work. Ask the Rams, ask the Bucks, and ask Howie. They restructured Kevin Byard's deal too. And the cap hit that it was on Tennessee. They deferred it out. You can restructure all of that. I agree, senor. The cap is almost to a point now where it's imaginary. These teams know how to manipulate that bitch better than anything. The cap is there for the owners to make excuses up on not paying players they don't want to play, like Saquon Barkley. Okay? Hey, I'll tell you this. I'm going to be shocked if Barkley's a Giant tomorrow. That Byard restructure almost guarantees he's here for next season as well, completely. And I would want him here. I would. And by the way, for him to get in and play as much as he did on Sunday is amazing. Shows you the skill he has. He may not have had a superstar game, but for him to get out there, know where to go, and line up. Do you know how important it is just to know where to line up? Was insane great. He will get in 3 weeks, that guy won't look like the same ball player. He won't look like the same ball player. Nathan, why would the Giants keep Barkley on the football team when Barkley doesn't want to be there anymore and the Giants don't want him? Why would they want to do that? Okay. What other young corners? I'm not giving up at one for no one else other than Patrick Surtain. Now, the question will be, after what happened in Kansas City or against Kansas City, is Denver ready to put the white flag up? You know, you get a win like that against KC, it kind of puts a little starch back in you a little bit. And, you know, I don't know. And I don't know. Seals Gainwell's on the plane, was on the phone during the game. Doesn't that get you cut from a team? That can't be true. That can't be true. LJ, that can't be true. Kenny Gainwell was texting or tweeting. That can't be true. A tight game like that, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It's very true. Nick had to address. He was pretty pissed. Was he tweeting during the game of a tightly contested NFC East game? He's tweeting during the game. Instagram. I'd bench him. But then again, I can't bench him for I don't want to take him away from the Cowboy game. I would fine him. I would fine him and publicly humiliate him. Okay, I would let him know that that's unbecoming. Someone sent Gainwell a DM on Instagram telling him to play better, and he felt the need to respond at halftime. And Tone's like, what a dope. Holy cow. You respond to Johnny Nobody in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Some guy writing you some stupid shit. Texting, fumble, trade. He was arguing with fans during a heatedly contested NFC East game where his focused, if in your day, he'd get cut on the spot, right? Hey, LJ, Jimmy Johnson's on tomorrow. Why don't we ask him? Send Gainwell to in Arizona, NFL hell. Man, can you imagine doing something like that with Jimmy? Here, I'll give you a story, Jimmy. We had a kid, a tight end from Clemson, was a third-round pick. This guy, we had to run our 16-110s. He's running, and all of a sudden, he didn't complete them. He goes like this to Jimmy. I need my inhaler. I got asthma. And I'm running by him, and I start shaking. I got asthma. Jimmy comes running from the other side of the field. You got asthma? You see over there? That's the asthma field. It was on the other side of the fence at Valley Ranch. That's the asthma field. Get this guy's ass out of here. They cut him on the spot. A third-round pick. Get him out of here. Asthma. Asthma field is over there. Oh, man. Cut him right there. Shit, I told you this story before. Played poorly against Washington, and it was really like a do-nothing game. Hey, Tone, I've told you this before, too. Everyone's flying home. Shit, man. Everyone comes up, and they're getting ready to eat their dinner. Jimmy goes, I'm going to bring that up tomorrow, too, because he's on tomorrow at 5:30. Nobody's eating dinner. Flying back from Washington, D.C. after a game. They got beaten, and they're flying back. And Jimmy goes, no dinner. That's right. Hey, that guy you guys see on Fox, hey, Tone, that guy you see on Fox, that ain't the same dude. That's not the same dude, man. Hey, Sills, I did some digging. It turns out the biggest liability in coverage in that Commanders game was Bradbury, not Slay. Stats coming. Slay in coverage against Commanders, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 38. 1 PBU, 0 TDs. He lined up against 5 different wideouts throughout the game. Bradbury in coverage against Commanders, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 70 yards, 2 TDs. Yeah, Bradbury got killed. Hey, and by the way, didn't he limp in and off the field? Wasn't he like nicked up in that ball game too a little bit? So it's Bradbury walking back. You mean the guy you paid the money to in the offseason? Oof, that hurts more. At least with Slay, he took a $3.5 million pay cut. That's Jimmy trying to – hey, Neil, that's what my friends all say. Jimmy's trying to get into heaven now? Yeah. You're just trying to get into heaven. He don't believe in Santa. He don't believe in Christmas cards. He don't believe in any of that. Don't ever bring up Santa Claus around Jimmy Johnson. He don't believe in Santa. He does now for, I guess, grandkids and shit, but yeah, he don't buy any of that. It was really weird being around him during the holidays. It's a gimmick. I'm like, what's a gimmick? He goes, those Christmas cards are gimmick. I'm like, you never wrote a Christmas? Yeah, absolutely not. I don't write Christmas cards to anybody. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going to bring all this shit up tomorrow. I promise you. He goes like this, Christmas cards? It's a gimmick. I said, do you ever say Merry Christmas? He goes, shh, Merry Christmas. No Christmas cards. Thought it was a gimmick. Philly fans pelted Jimmy with snowballs just like Santa. Yeah, well, real. Jimmy helped the Cowboys win 3 Super Bowls. How you doing? And the Cowboys say, hey, you know the greatest thing ever happened to the Philadelphia Eagles? Jerry Jones did the worst thing in the history of his ownership, fired Jimmy. Do you realize that, Tone? The best thing ever happened to the Philadelphia Eagle fan base is that Jerry Jones's incompetence reared its head by firing the most successful coach he's ever had. Look at Neil go pre-cap. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Jimmy would have adapted to that like he did the NFL from the college game. It only took him 3 years to win a Super Bowl. How you doing? Oh, and by the way, he went 1-15. Guy goes from 1-15, 2 years later wins a Super Bowl. I don't know. That might be considered good. What's your thoughts on a cheap, experienced O-lineman like Dalton Reisner from the Broncos? Not the best, but steady. Who's the O-line coach up there in Denver? Who's the Denver guy? I can't think who the Denver O-line coach is. And you got to figure out, is Denver waving the white flag? Hey, Neil. Neil goes like this. Jimmy got 900 picks for that. Hey, Neil, you want to know why he got 900 picks? Because Jimmy changed the game. Hey, it's strife up there. Knows he's friends with Stoutland. Yeah, he's friends with Stoutland. That's not a bad move. That's not a bad move. Okay? That's not a bad move. I like the move, actually. Okay? I like the move. Denver. Yeah, we saw that. Thank you, Dirty D. Hey, one thing about that Johnson trade with Herschel. Remember he traded for all those players? Who were some of the players? I mean, remember all the players that were traded with Minnesota? You want to hear something that back in the NFL they did? So he sent Herschel Walker to the Minnesota Vikings, right? Jimmy Johnson rolled in every single one of those players from that trade and told them, you'll never play a down in Dallas. Not one of those Minnesota Vikings ever played a snap for the Cowboys and for him. You know what they reverted into? Draft picks. Jimmy didn't want the players. He wanted the picks. So he knew every one of those players, because it was like a 6-player deal and plus some first rounders. Jimmy wanted the picks. Not one of those players ever suited up and played for the Dallas Cowboys. They all reverted into draft choices. Okay? Crazy great. And then they changed the rule on that. Yeah, if you want to, you're either trading for players or you're trading for picks. The NFL changed the rule on that after that. Because that's what Jimmy made 57 trades in 5 years. The most in a 5-year trading period in NFL history to this day. All right, I'm going to take a timeout. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.